quite easy to comprehend, but so difficult to live out. There are certain things I think that we understand, we know. If I was to tell you them, you go, of course we know that. But the way we act and behave doesn't always show that, as if we struggled to internalize it in some way. I notice this so much these days, and I think the more we read the Bible, the more we get this. Especially Jesus. What he's often doing is pointing out to people, well, this is what's important. And they all go, yes, I get that. And then Jesus points out to them, well, you're not living that way. And it's the same with us, it's no different. It's like eating vegetables or tithing. We know we're meant to. But it doesn't mean we always do that, or at least it doesn't mean we always want to. I hate veg. But we can know these things. We can often quote Bible verses that let us know, well, I know this. I get it. I've internalized it. I know this stuff. We can point to where it is in the Bible. But it doesn't always mean that we know how to live it out. We might say, oh, yeah, I'm the worst for this. I'll go, oh, yes, Lord, I shall not store up for myself treasures here on earth. But Amazon's doing a flash sale. And I need a hot tub. These things can come to you, this is what I know. You have one moment where you go, I know what's right, and you have the other moment where you act very differently. It happens all the time. Bible studies, we're there with our notebooks on, we're there nodding along like decent theologians in a Netflix documentary. Oh, yes, profound, how challenging, how profound the word of the Lord is. And then a couple of hours later, we're yelling at the TV because we're upset about a soap opera or something like that. Things change. We can understand something, but maybe not get it right in practice. And that's kind of what our gospel reading is about. And I love this. Jesus is out teaching about eternal wisdom. This is God incarnate. This is the Son of God. He's out preaching the most profound of things. And a man interrupts him. What does he interrupt with? What does he question God incarnate with? Rabbi, tell my brother to give me part of the inheritance. What an odd thing. It's like going to a Beyonce concert and asking her to settle a parking dispute. It just doesn't match up. It's not right. He's just snitching on he's such a child. Jesus, he's not sharing. It's such a strange thing. And you can see that Jesus is almost irate by it, because the word that he opens with is man, as it was, oh, man, who made me your judge? As if Jesus is going, who made me such a judge of this trivial matter? You know it's bad when Jesus has to start a sentence with man. You know he's frustrated. And I get it, I get the drama that comes with money. I get all that. Money often is the thing that makes us act a bit differently and change what we know. I remember when I lived at Bible college, which, if you've never been to a Bible college, it's like Christian Hogwarts, but less magic and more passive-aggressive prayers. And I lived with my best friend, John, who's preached here. John from the Samaritan's Purse. I can say these things about him now, he's not here. But we lived together for 3 years. I was best man at his wedding, he was best man at mine. I'm godfather of his son, he's godfather of my son. We're very good friends. And the issue I found when we lived together, especially at a Bible college, we were peacocking. If you've never heard this term before, peacocking is like little peacock feathers go up as if you're trying to show off. So, ooh, look at me. We were doing that all the time. All the time at university, especially Bible college, we were reading about being holy people. We were doing this. We were peacocking. Not actual peacocks, but two theological students in suits. We weren't far off. But we were trying to look bigger and smarter than we were. We were engaging in competitive Christianity. And we'd have these full-on theological debates about what we'd heard in lectures and lessons, and flexing our theological knowledge, trying to one-up each other. And John would always put me down the same way. He would always seek to win an argument in exactly the same way. I'd say things like, well, if we look at the early church tradition, we can see that Paul's words, and then he'd go, I'll stop you there, Blaze. When you've been a Christian for as long as I have, then you'll understand. There's no argument with this. You can't argue. You just look at, you're young. When you've been a Christian, he was raised a Christian, I wasn't. So when you've been a Christian as long as I have, Blaze, you'll understand. And this was his one line for every discussion we had that didn't have an obvious conclusion. A scripture debate, well, Blaze, when you've been a Christian as long as I have, then you'll get it. Church governance, Blaze, When you've been a Christian as long as I have. What should we have for dinner tonight, Blaze? When you've been a Christian as long as I have, you'll know it's fish tonight. He'd use this for everything. And we were trying to spiritually out-alpha each other. And this kind of showed in our money. So our friendship turned into this weird generosity Olympics, where we each try and outdo each other every year in buying a gift for one another. So one year he bought me this beautiful overcoat, which cost about £100. Beautiful thing. And he'd give it to me. And then every time we were out, I'd go, oh, Blaze, what a lovely coat. Oh, what a holy man must have bought you that. It's like, John, it's August. Back off. I'm not even wearing it. It's like, what a holy coat. And so, the next year, I bought him a record player, and I bought him his favourite vinyl on that record player. And I told him, John, some things are more valuable than money. Record player, £60. Vinyl, £50. The look on your face as you open it, priceless. And I made sure he knew the price, so he knew I'd spent £10 more than he did. And so he got me back the next year. He bought me this massive Bluetooth speaker to play my music on. It was needlessly extravagant. So massive was this speaker that our Bible college had a festival every year. They asked to borrow it for the outdoor barbecue for music. This was a massive thing. And John's there at the barbecue going, oh, hear those sounds? Oh, yes, that's I bought my friend that speaker, yes. Absolutely, that's just that's how I like to bless people. Money's not for me, I'll share it. When he's been a Christian as long as I have, he'll get it. That's how we went as friendship. I didn't realise it now, but we were just trying to outdo each other. That's not spirituality, that's pettiness. I wouldn't though. I absolutely would. One year he decided he was going to propose to his now wife. And bless me, worked so hard. And he found this unique ring. These people who make only one of each kind of ring. So I want this for my wife, but I can't afford it right now. And he thought, I'm never, what if it gets taken before I have the time to earn that money? So I bought the ring and gave it to him. Said, you can pay it back whenever you want. We tried to out-alpha each other. And when I gave this ring, I thought, hearken to the mighty wolf of the alpha dog. He paid me back within about a month. But that's it. But it's not, I think we were trying to suggest that we were such good friends because we could outgive each other. We could, look at my generosity. But none of it lasts. The ring hopefully has lasted, but the amp that he bought me, that's kind of gone now. The overcoat's gone now. I think his record player's still going. So I think I win still. But these things, they don't last forever. They're byproducts of a time. And we weren't exactly growing in spirituality, we were competing. And it meant whenever we had girlfriends or partners who had birthdays, they got a packet of crisps. We couldn't afford anything else. We were storing up the wrong kind of treasure. We were at Bible college seeking the wrong kinds of gifts. And Jesus isn't impressed by the people who bought the fanciest gifts. He's not impressed by those who have the most money. He just wants people to stop peacocking, realistically, and start trusting him. Because real value, real worth, that's not in what we own, it's in what we become in him. That's our true value. Oh, that's it. People walking out in the middle of a service. That's right. Have a good time. But that's what it's about. It's about growing in faith in that sense. Even if your friend always tells you he's been a Christian longer. But after all, the question of it is, what is Jesus really saying in the Gospel of Luke, the passage we've had? And we've heard this teaching before. It's not a new message, this idea of don't store up for yourself things or treasures on earth that rust and such can get to. Instead, store up for yourself treasures in heaven. I could tell you all that now, and you'd go, yes, we know this. We've read this, you've no doubt heard sermons on this before. It's not a new thing. We know it. But do we? Is it something we just know but don't act? How much do we know? In Luke 12, verse 15, Jesus says, take care and be on your guard against all covetousness. Not just some forms, all of it. Any form of coveting, be on guard. It's not even going, well, the socially acceptable stuff, that's okay. No, any form of covetousness. Be aware, be on guard, avoid it. The Greek word for covetousness, as it's used here, is pleonexia, which refers to an insatiable appetite, or more than your fair share, more than your need, more than you were meant to carry. So it's not about actually spending money, it's not about getting things like that, it's not about any of that, it's about the idea that you're coveting something, about taking more than you need, being an insatiable desire to have something that you don't need. It's a restless urge to grasp or to cling, to believe a little bit more will finally be enough for us. And Jesus isn't condemning fair wages. Jesus isn't saying, well, we shouldn't get paid, you shouldn't get X, Y, and Z. We know this. We see in Luke chapter 10, verse 7, Jesus says, a worker is worthy of their wages. In other words, yes, what you deserve, fine, take. What was agreed, fine, that's yours. But an insatiable desire, a covetousness, an idolatry, that's bad. And it's not even a new story. The Old Testament tells us this way beforehand. Proverbs 21 verse 26 tells us all day long he craves and craves, but the righteous gives and does not hold back. Covetousness is more than a financial issue. It's a worship issue. And that's exactly where Paul comes in our reading from Colossians 3. In 3 verse 5, he doesn't pull any punches. He says, put to death therefore what is earthly in you, covetousness, which is idolatry. See, that is idolatry. It's not just greed. Covetousness isn't just greed, it's idolatry. It's not just a bad financial habit, it's idolatry. Because whenever we look to something other than God for our sense of value, for our sense of purpose, then we've made that our God. Jesus warns the man who calls out about the inheritance, but it's a warning for everyone there, including us here today. Because material greed is a dead-end road that always finishes the same way. Empty barns and an empty soul. In Ecclesiastes 5 verse 10 it says, he who loves money will not be satisfied with money. That is also vanity. The Hebrew for the word vanity there is hevel, which is more accurately translated as vapour. In other words, the desire and love of money is like vapour, it's like smoke. You can't grasp it. You'll never have it. There's almost no point in pursuing it. So Jesus responds to the man and to all of us with this principle in Luke 12:15. One's life does not consist in the abundance of possessions. We would all be, yes, amen, I know this, it's there in the mind, I know it. But how often do we live as if that's true? It's like the famous story of Charles Dickens, you know, A Christmas Carol? It's weird to be talking about it now in the middle of August, but that story is hyper-real for what this lesson is about. He wrote that story at a time when people were genuinely losing interest in Christmas. Christmas nearly ceased to be a practice because people's greed had gotten to a point where they didn't see the point of giving these gifts, of doing all this. Scrooge is a composite character of everybody at that time. These people had forgotten the meaning of Christmas, were obsessed with accumulation and had become indifferent to generosity. And what changes Scrooge in that story? It's not shame, it's not guilt. It's almost the realization that everything he'd stored up won't actually go to him. It won't actually be used for anything. It'll just be divided and forgotten about. He sees this with the spirit of Christmas yet to come. The curtains for his bedpost getting torn down, his clothes just being stolen and taken. Scrooge sees the truth that his treasure has no lasting value. It's the same vision Jesus gives us in Luke. He tells us a parable of a man, clever, wealthy, productive, all things this world would look at and go, oh, good man. And he builds a bigger barn because he needs to store more grain. He's got too much grain, so he goes, I'll make a bigger place for it. Fair enough. Sounds about right. Sensible. But there's something missing in the parable. In Luke 12:17 it says, he thought to himself. Not to God, not to others, just himself. His words are filled with I and my. If I read that bit out again of the parable and focus on those words of I and my, you'll see it. What shall I do? I will tear down my barns and build larger ones, and there I will store all of my grain and my goods. 8 times we hear the word I. 4 times we hear the word my. This is the gospel of me, myself, and I. What looks sensible. I've got too much, I'll buy a bigger place to store it all. What the world would look at and go, brilliant, good on you. Jesus is saying, you're blind to the very truth you're meant to know. There's no mention of the poor, no thought of blessing others, no worship, no thanksgiving. Just a man with a storage problem and a self-importance complex. And then God breaks into this terrible reversal almost. He goes in verse 20, "Fool, this night your soul is required of you." The man thought he had control over time, his future, and joy, and things like that. But the one thing he ignored was the only thing that actually mattered. It was his relationship with God. Jesus ends with the sobering truth in verse 21. "So is the one who lays up treasure for himself and is not rich toward God." So here's the question to wrestle with. Are we rich towards God? Or are we just storing things that can't save us? Because God doesn't want our barns. He wants our soul. He doesn't ask, how much have you gathered? He asks, have you trusted me? Questions to ask yourself today. What are the things that you keep back from God? At our last Bible study, I was very open about that. I keep my kid back from God. It's my flaw. It's my sin. I act as if it's my job and my job alone to look after my kids. If I didn't have control over them, then they would go astray. It wouldn't work out. I behave with my children as if there was no God. That's what I hold back. It's a covetousness. It's a form of idolatry. It's wrong. But what are the things you cling to? What are the things you make an idol of? What are the things that seem so urgent in your day-to-day? Inheritance? Success? Popularity? Promotion? What of those things stop you from thinking about the eternal? Because at the end of our lives, when we stand before the Lord, the question won't be, how big were your barns? How much did you get it all together? It'll probably just be the question of, were you rich towards me? My hope and prayer is that we will be found full, we will not be found, full of goods and empty with God. Quite the other way around. As our sister Zelda said earlier, even in the face of what this world throws at us, we will find the joy of Christ in everything. No matter what happens, no matter what the world says, no matter what it may look like, we will find that joy of Christ. Amen, Zelda. Because we are rich in God.